This is obviously new for all of us, so I'm going to be a little more regimented in reading things than I usually am. So I would like to welcome everybody to the Tuesday, May 12th, 2020 special called meeting of the Glynn County Mainland Planning Commission. In an effort to adhere to the guidelines set forth by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention for the COVID-19 pandemic, this meeting is being held via video teleconference. The public has simultaneous access to this meeting. The meeting will be streamed online for public viewing through the Glynn County Board of Commissioners Facebook and YouTube pages. Commissioners, remember to mute your microphone when you're not speaking. Staff will control the PowerPoint presentation. Please do not scroll or control the slides on the screen during the presentation. We're going to start this off with a roll call. I will call your name and please repeat your name and say present. Commissioner Gibbs.
Sherry Gibbs, present.
Commissioner Lee.
Commissioner Lee, present.
Commissioner Neville.
Gary Neville, present.
Commissioner New.
Missy New, present.
Commissioner Strickland.
Richard Strickland, present.
Commissioner Williams, have you joined us? Okay. And Commissioner Edgy, present. Secretary Janet Loving.
Janet Loving, present.
We have staff. We have Stephanie Leaf.
Stephanie Lee, present.
Mr. Maurice Postal.
Present.
And then it's saying that Mr. Kyle Sharp is also present. Okay.
Kyle Sharp, present. Sorry, I had it on mute.
No worries. That happens. Okay. So our first order of business will be to approve the minutes of the regular meeting held on February 4th, 2020, subject to any corrections. Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion.
Gary Neville, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
Do we have a second?
Richard Strickland, second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as presented. I will call your name again and please repeat your name and vote yes or no. Commissioner Gibbs?
Commissioner Gibbs, yes.
Commissioner Lee?
Yes.
Commissioner Neville?
Gary Neville, yes.
Commissioner New?
Missy New, I was not there, so I'll abstain.
Okay. Commissioner Strickland?
Commissioner Strickland, yes.
Commissioner Williams, not present. Commissioner Edgy, yes. So Janet, that passes 5 in favor, 1 abstention. Okay. We have a site plan on our agenda tonight. It's SP 4320 Southport Retail Store. Consider site plan approval for the construction of a new retail store at 461 Palisade Drive, parcel numbers 03-12679 and 03-12670. The property is zoned Plan Development General. It's GC-07-92 Southport PD. Kyle Sharp, agent for Brunswick DG LLC applicant and Used Rubber LLC owner. Mr. Postal.
Good evening, Maurice Postal planning staff. For this project, the applicant is seeking site plan approval for the construction of a new retail store at 461 Palisade Drive in the Southport PD. A couple notes for this project. The site currently is split into 2 separate lots, but they did submit an application for lot combination, which was approved a few weeks ago, but the owner is waiting till after seeing what happens at this meeting to record the combination. And another note on this project is the applicant is proposing to provide 35 parking spaces instead of the required 43 in accordance with the section of the zoning ordinance that allows up to 25% of required spaces to be switched out at the time of site plan approval in exchange for 450 square feet of green space, 3 delineated parking space, and typically parking spaces are 300 square feet, so it's not a one-for-one switch. And here's the zoning map for the project. You can see the site is right next to Zachary's Steak and Seafood. And the southern end of it is JJ Tire. And this is a current photo of the 2 lots. As you can see, it's completely vacant and unimproved. This is the landscape plans for the project. As you can see, there's the typical landscape buffers along the rights of way, but they're actually going a step further and putting landscaping along the other 2 property lines too, which is more than we require. And here's the site plan itself, showing the new retail store. And it'll have entrances at both Candler and Palisade Drive. Your options tonight are to approve the site plan as presented, approve with conditions, defer, deny, and we're recommending approval of the application as presented. And as stated earlier, the agent for this project is present.
Okay, thank you, sir. Commissioners, do you have any questions for staff?
Richard Strickland, is this in fact going to be a Dollar General?
You can ask the agent that. From here to Kingdom Come, he won't answer. But as you can see by the name of the applicant, it's Brunswick DG. So you can make a logical assumption, Commissioner.
Well, the picture that's in our packet, it favors very much a Dollar General.
Yes, I would tend to agree.
Commissioner Strickland, and I think that was Gary. I did some further research, and the address for the person who filed for Brunswick DG LLC goes back to Dollar General.
Okay. Thank you, Sherry. I have nothing else, Bill.
Any other questions for staff? Okay. Would the applicant like to request action?
Yes, I would request that you approve the application as submitted.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions for the applicant?
This is Gary Neville. I don't have any questions, but upon making of the motion, whoever makes it, or if it's me, no large deciduous trees under right-of-ways that have power lines on them. And that is my only comment. Otherwise, it looks great to me.
Commissioners, any other questions for the applicant?
The only question, this is Sherry Gibb, the only question I have, and I know it was approved, it can be approved, was why would we reduce the number of parking spaces?
I believe the applicant had said in a previous meeting with us that the national retail chain that's planning to move in there doesn't want more than a maximum of 35 parking spaces, but you're free to ask him, of course.
Yes, that's the standard number of spaces that they require for their prototype. And in cases like this where we're allowed to reduce it down to 35, we always pursue that option on behalf of the tenant.
And where would they park if you have more than 35 customers at one time?
They would not park on the site. I mean, there's nowhere for them to park. This is based on their operation of, many stores throughout the country is in 35 is their number, and they feel like that provides adequate parking even during peak times such as Christmas and the holiday season. And I believe I provided that supporting document, as part of the original submittal package into the city. And if not, I can provide that. I have a letter from corporate saying that. But this does give more green space, less burden on the downstream stormwater facilities. And if the parking is not needed by the client, we would request that for that reduction to be granted in the parking.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Larson. Mr. Sharp, excuse me, Mr. Sharp, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve SP 4320 Southport Retail Store.
Okay,
Gene Lee, I second.
okay, perfect. Commissioners, we have a motion and a second to approve SP 4320 as presented. Any discussion?
Gary had something he wanted to add into that motion.
I apologize. You're absolutely right, Commissioner Gibbs. We, with the addition of Gary's comment regarding large deciduous trees and power lines. So, motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying yes. I will call your name. Commissioner Gibbs,
Yes?
Commissioner Lee,
Yes.
Commissioner Neville,
Gary Neville, yes.
Commissioner New,
Missy New, yes.
Commissioner Strickland,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams, present, and Commissioner Edgy, yes. That is unanimous, Janet. Thank you, Mr. Sharp. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Now, do we have any planning commission announcements, Ms. Leaf?
Yes, commissioners, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So you do have a joint planning commission meeting that follows this meeting. That'll start at 6:00 p.m. So you will exit out of this meeting and you do have a separate link that you will click on at 6:00 to go into that virtual meeting. So we'll see you back here in about 45 minutes or so.
Okay. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. Did you want to speak regarding the June meeting?
Sure. I think we are, actually, since we have everyone together. So what we're looking at is we are going back to in-person meetings starting in June, and we, are looking heavily at how we can best ensure everyone's safety and ensure that we can have social distancing and we don't have too many people in one room at one time. So I did approach Chairman Edgy about possibly scheduling 2 Mainland Planning Commission meetings in June. We do have about 4 public hearings. That's what we're planning on having for the June meeting. And that would be a lot of people if we do have a turnout for each one of those. So we are looking at potentially having 2 separate MPC meetings in June so that we could separate those out and have 2 public hearings at each agenda. We're looking to do the same for the Islands Planning Commission. We're going to be approaching the IPC about something similar, and then additionally, we're looking at spreading out public hearings through Board of Commissioner meetings as well. So if anyone has some thoughts on that, if you're open to that, or if you'd like to try to keep everything on one meeting, definitely interested in hearing some feedback.
Well, personally, I'm in favor of whatever gives the applicant the most efficient, I guess, time as possible to make sure that they don't have to wait any longer than is necessary. So I have no issue with a long meeting, or I have no issue with 2 meetings. But in consideration of social distancing, I think the best option would be 2 meetings, and that's my opinion. I'm also of the opinion that maybe consecutive weeks versus one on the 2nd and 1 2 weeks later, have one on the 2nd, one on the 9th.
Thank you.
Steffi, I agree with Bill, and him and I spoke earlier on it this afternoon, and I said, if it becomes necessary, given the current circumstances and everything that's going on, even if we have to have 3 meetings, I don't think anybody on this Mainland Planning Commission board can say that we've been overworked this year so far. So, you know, if we need to do whatever we need to do, then, you know, that's the way it needs to go.
Thank you for that.
Are we still gonna try to hold it at the courthouse? Or a different location?
Yes, right now we are still planning to do everything at the historic courthouse for MPC.
This is Gary Neville. I'm in favor of 2 meetings.
And this is Sherry.
Okay. So I think there's a majority, Stephanie, that are in favor of 2 meetings if that's necessary regarding the agenda items. So we will leave that to staff.
Okay, great. I'll follow up with everyone, but I think what I'll propose is June 2nd and 9th. So if y'all could check your calendars maybe after this meeting and let me know if you have any conflicts, but I'll just send out another email reminder just to make sure that those 2 dates still work for everyone. Thank
Okay.
you.
Commissioners, anything else?
Mr. Chair? Oh, go ahead.
This is Sherry Gibb. Will those meetings, Stephanie, be at 6 p.m.?
Yes, that would be our proposals to have the 6 o'clock p.m. time unless you all want to look at some different times.
I'm fine with 6. We just wanted to verify.
Yep, great, thanks.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn. I have a second.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying yes. Commissioner Gibbs,
Yes?
Commissioner Lee,
Yes.
Commissioner Neville,
Yes.
Commissioner New,
Yes.
Commissioner Strickland,
Yes.
Commissioner Edgy, yes. So we are officially adjourned. I would like to say that this is my 4th year on the commission. The prior record is 22 minutes. Gary, I beat you by 3 minutes.
I believe there was a shorter one. It seems like we had one that was about 7 or 8 minutes one night.
Okay,
Yeah,
well, then you got me again. So.
Yeah, Gary, Brunswick Fitness was about 6 or 7 minutes.
Yeah.
And that